This is the Dzogchen Simde Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For multiple decades, I spent about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that you would not have to. It is Obi-Wan Kenobi early Wednesday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after reviewing the 7 Enlightenment Factors. Now remember, if at any time you have a specific question about the philosophies or techniques that seem to support meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window. The first of the 7 Enlightenment Factors is mindfulness. In mindfulness, we watch mind's antics of perception. You know, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like, including the full spectrum of human emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings. The second Enlightenment factor is investigation. I don't really care for that translation. I feel that translation has been influenced by patriarchy's institutional Buddhism. From the perspective of matriarchy's proto-Buddhism, I would say its investigation should be translated as vulnerability, wherein we vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly watch all manner of phenomena, whatever comes up, be it external, from the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the convenient to the arduous, from the glorious to the grotesque. Many decades ago, when I first learned that the fourth enlightenment factor was joy, I was apoplectic. I was just beside myself because I wanted to master the Buddha's path so I could feel joy. And here's this ancient document telling me that joy is a prerequisite to enlightenment. I was beside myself. I am grateful that over the years I have received the teachings that the key to joy is love, and that the seat of love is the anterior cingulate gyrus, and that simply by sitting and breathing and watching and resting once every 12 hours or so, we can't help but gently stimulate this hub of our mirror neurons that functions as the seat of joyful love. The third enlightenment factor is energy. And once again, as a person who has been juggling multiple disabilities for his entire life, I was hopeful that mastering the Buddha's path of enlightenment would at last give me energy. And here I am taught that it's the opposite way around. So if we ask someone who is a minion of patriarchy, they would say, yes, yes, we must be neurotic. We must be rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and even cruel. We must do these things to fuel the neurotic energy necessary to get us off our overfed tushies and get to work. However, if we have the good fortune to meet an acolyte of matriarchy, they will tell us that simply by opening up to being flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind, energy becomes an inevitable byproduct. The more we sit and breathe and feel and rest, the more our choices and our utterances and our deeds flow, not from contrived calculations nor wild scatterness, but instead from love's deeply centered spontaneity. This is known by many things. Some describe it as the sixth fold of the eightfold path. Some describe it as right effort. Some describe it as effortless effort. Some describe it as doing without doing. Some describe it as wu wei. Some describe it as going with the flow. Some describe it as being in the zone. Others describe it as expedient means. Our enthusiasm is an effortless byproduct, a litmus test or barometer, if you will, of our meditation. You see, when we confuse concentration for mindfulness, when we confuse analysis for meditation, when we overwork the front part of our brain just behind our forehead, we can't help but trigger our amygdala, the seat of anxiety and aggression that gobbles up all our energy and joy like a Pac-Man in a video game from the 80s. However, when we passively cooperate with both facets of our autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic and parasympathetic facets, then energetic, loving joy becomes an inevitability. How are we to do this cooperation? Glad you asked. The sixth enlightenment factor is coalescence. Every time we inhale, whether we mean to or not, we have evolved to automatically access the middle bit of our spinal cord, which functions as the core of our sympathetic nervous system. It has evolved to help us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly watch all mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, thought, memory, and imagination. The fifth enlightenment factor is tranquility. Tranquility sounds great. It sounds yummy, especially in countries like mine where we are, where fascism has gone from lurking in the background to just busting out and tap dancing in front of everybody. How do we gain access to this tranquility? Every time we exhale, whether we mean to or not, we've evolved to automatically access both the tippy top and the almost bottom of our spinal cord. These two regions, functioning as a team, act as the core of our parasympathetic nervous system, which helps us to physically relax during our exhalation to such a degree that which we watched during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, less defining, and as non-graspable as a vast, empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could look tantalizing to the eye, could feel non-graspable to the hand. You see, when we silently and mentally recite watch and rest in harmony with our exhalation, we are not forcing our central nervous system to capitulate to our controlling tendencies. Au contraire, the opposite is happening. When we watch and rest in harmony with our inhalation and exhalation, at last we are taking a relaxing break from the exhausting habit of indulging our controlling tendencies to actively compete against our own autonomic nervous system. And instead, we are delivering a message to our will, to our volition. And we're saying, let's pass, at long last, let us passively cooperate with our autonomic nervous system just as evolution intended. The seventh and final factor of enlightenment is equanimity. We're going to look at it from two perspectives. Start off superficially. As we rest in our exhalation, whatever beauty or ugliness we watched during our previous inhalation could feel as if it was melting into just sights. As we rest in our exhalation, whatever harmony or discord we heard during our previous inhalation could feel as if it was melting into the simplicity of just sounds. As we rest in our exhalation, whatever pleasure or pain we sensed during our previous inhalation could feel as if they were melting into just feelings. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever deliciousness or disgust we tasted during our previous inhalation could feel as if they were melting into the simplicity of just flavors. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever fragrance or foulness we smelled during our previous inhalation could feel as if it was melting into the simplicity of just sense. When I was first exposed to this idea, I used to walk every morning to the local health food grocery store, and I'd make a point to walk as close as I could past their stinking dumpster so that I could explore, I could be vulnerable to whatever sense I experienced as I breathe in, and I could explore their non-graspable empty nature as I breathed out. What I lacked in wisdom, I made up for in enthusiasm. And now, as promised, let's take a deeper view of the same subject. Let us explore remedial equanimity. In this case, remedial does not mean it's simplified because you got an F in equanimity class last semester. Remedial means using spiritual techniques as a cure for our human experience. Acolytes of patriarchies, institutional Buddhism, would say, yes, it's imperative to identify the virtuous opponent to whatever negative emotions you are feeling and substitute the one for the other. For instance, they might say, replace dread with mirror-like wisdom, replace desire with discriminating wisdom, replace delusion with all-pervading wisdom, replace jealousy with all-accomplishing wisdom, and replace pride with equalizing wisdom. They might say that. However, those who have mastered matriarchy's path of proto-Buddhism would say, as we relax into our experience of dread, mirror-like wisdom is spontaneously revealed. As we relax into our experience of desire, discriminating wisdom is spontaneously revealed. As we relax into our experience of delusion, all pervading wisdom is spontaneously revealed. As we relax into our experience of jealousy or competitiveness or cruelty, our all-accomplishing wisdom is spontaneously revealed. And fifthly, as we relax into our experience of pride, equalizing wisdom is revealed. That is a rather verbose and lengthy way of saying that there is the ultimate antidote to whatever stressors we experience, whether those stressors are circumstantial, or physical, or interpersonal, or mental. The ultimate antidote is simply to sit and breathe and watch and rest. You might say, hey, dude, am I supposed to sit and breathe and watch and rest while people are murdering my neighbors? The more we sit and breathe and watch and rest, the more we cannot help, but the more our choices and utterances and deeds cannot help but flow from love's deeply centered spontaneity. So the watching and resting flow fuels the flow that helps us to act in the wisest, most loving manner possible. Un momento. Now that I've finished raving like a madman, let us prepare for our practice of mindfulness and meditation of clarity and letting go by gently inviting our real or imagined subtle energy to coalesce at the crown of our head. Doing so is as simple as using the tip of our left index finger to support the lower knuckle of our right index finger, palms up in our lap. Rather than make the mistake, so consider, if you will, a good piano student. They do not actively focus upon the sound of the metronome clicking away upon the shelf. They're too busy actively focusing on their sheet music and keyboard. Instead, they hold the sound of the metronome in passive peripheral awareness. Likewise, as we passively notice air enter our nostrils, let us silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb, watch. And as we passively notice air exiting our nostrils, let us silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb, rest. Now, it's most ergonomically sound to rest our hands palms up in our lap. I'm going to lift my hands up so that I might show you how to do something. During the next 12 inhalations, every time we breathe in, let us advance our right thumb across the sets of creases found on the underside of our four right fingers. Together, let us do so right now. Collecting or counting 12 inhalations takes approximately 1 minute. Since most of us want to meditate for more than a minute, let us use at the completion, let us count an additional 12 sets of 12 inhalations each by touching the tip of our left thumb to the lowermost set of creases on our left little finger. And upon the completion of each set of 12 inhalations, we will advance our thumb. Together, let us do so right now. The moment you have a specific question about the philosophies or techniques that seem to support meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window, for I tend to check for questions about once every 13 minutes or so. Our practice of sitting and breathing and watching and resting could be described as the Mahamudra of awareness and letting go. So our job is not to concentrate. Our job is not to repress memories or emotions. Our job is to sit there like a patron at a playhouse and just enjoy the antics of the thespians upon the stage. As we sit and breathe and watch and rest. Having gathered our first collection of 13 sets of 12 inhalations each, we can prepare to keep track of our second collection of 13 sets of 12 inhalations each, simply by releasing our left index finger and replacing it with our right middle finger, using the tip of our right middle finger to support the lower knuckle of our right middle finger. Coincidentally, since we are now preparing for our practice of mindfulness and meditation of bliss and letting go, this is also going to help us to gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to coalesce in our chest. As we passively notice our chest swelling with breath, let us silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb, feel. And as we passively notice the subtle sinking of our chest as we exhale, we can silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb, rest. Going to check for questions. And now let's continue. Excuse me. Many years ago, I had 3 meditation teachers explain that the key to joy was to smile. A fourth teacher explained that the most convincing smile starts at the corners of our lips, ascends through the apples of our cheeks, and perches upon the crow's feet of our eyes. However, studies have shown that forcing a smile when you don't feel joy is so exhausting that it can induce symptoms of depression. I once lived at one of the monasteries I lived at, where institutional Buddhism was practiced, really embraced this practice of forcing a smile. And so you saw these people who are rigid and fearful and superstitious and controlling and elitist and cryptic and competitive and cruel. These really cranky people forcing a smile, but it didn't affect their disposition. It didn't help them. I'm so grateful I stumbled upon teachers who made it clear that if we just cooperate with our autonomic nervous system through mindfulness and meditation, then loving joy becomes an inevitability. By the way, sitting and breathing and feeling and resting could be described as the Mahamudra, or union of feeling of bliss and letting go. checking for questions. Let us now shift gears to Green Heroine's Love and Letting Go, also known as Tantra Mahamudra. So for the final third of this morning's practice, we're going to do a whole bunch of chanting. So to my friends on the clock app, it'll be more easier for you to participate if you join the Tube app simulcast. Now, if you're looking at me, staring at you directly through the camera, you're already on the Tube app. Stay put. So let us passively contemplate the union of love and letting go, wherein we bring our personal needs and desires into manifesting's path of universal love. Good old Leonardo da Vinci insisted that, approximately 5 centuries ago, Leonardo da Vinci insisted that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Approximately 21 centuries prior to that, the Buddha taught that all that we experience can fit neatly into one of the 4 categories of the mental, the interpersonal, the physical, and the circumstantial. Let's begin with the mental. Mental kindness constitutes the second fold of the Buddha's eightfold path of enlightenment. Please chant with me. May each being's experience of the mental now be as peacefully wise as the mind of an archetypical Buddha symbolized by a bija syllable. Here's the secret to practicing the Mahamudra of love and letting go. How do we practice the Mahamudra of love? As we inhale, we silently and mentally recite the 6-syllable synopsis, Bija, wise for all minds. How do we practice the Mahamudra of letting go? 2-step process. As we exhale, we physically relax as best we can while chanting the 10-syllable mantra 3 times per breath for a total of 8 breaths. Om Tare Du Dare Du Re Suwa, 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 Om Tare Du Dare Du Re Suwa. So it's not our job to visualize while reciting the mantra. It's not our job to believe while reciting the mantra or emote. It's simply our job to relax as best we can while reciting the mantra. Om Tare Du Dare Du Re Suwa, 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 Om Tare Du Dare Du Re So Wa. 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 Interpersonal kindness constitutes the third fold of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Let us now practice interpersonal wishing love. May each being's experience of the interpersonal now be as joyfully loving as the speech of an archetypical Buddha symbolized by a mantra. The essence, the six-syllable synopsis of interpersonal wishing love is quite simple. Mantra love for all speech. Om Tare Du Dare Du Re So Wa. 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 Let us recite the extensive wishing love. Let's perform the extensive recitation of the wishing love of physical kindness. May each being's experience of the physical now be as healthy as the form of an archetypical Buddha symbolized by a yin-dong. The six-syllable wish-fulfilling love, or the six-syllable recitation of wish-fulfilling love is as follows. Yidam health for all forms. Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa, Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa, Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa. Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa, Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa, Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa. Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa, Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa, Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa. Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa, Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa, Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa. Circumstantial kindness constitutes the fifth fold of the Buddha's eightfold path. Together. May each being's experience of the circumstantial now be as fortunate as the lot of an archetypical Buddha symbolized by a paradise pure land or Vati. During our inhalation, let us silently and mentally recite the six-syllable recitation of wishing love. Vati boon for all lots. Oopsie, for all lots. During our exhalation, let us physically relax as best we can during our recitation of the 10-syllable mantra. Let us perform this for a total of 12 breaths. Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa, Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa, Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa. Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa, Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa, Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa. Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa, Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa, Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa. Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa, Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa, Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa. Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa, Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa, Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa. Allow me to explain something. When I think about good fortune, circumstantial good fortune for all beings everywhere, I think about a transformation occurring in human society where the toxins of competition and cruelty have been uprooted, and in their place flourishes kindness and cooperation, where people use their natural tendencies to apply their interests and their talents to the well-being of their neighbors. And who are their neighbors? All beings everywhere. Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa, Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa, Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa. Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa, Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa, Om Dhare Dudane Dure Sowa. Om Tare Du Tare Du Re Suwa. 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 Having sat for the better part of an hour, we might find it refreshing to knock out what I like to describe as spiritual squat thrusts. In preparation for that, let us chant the recitations that review the ideas of bodhicitta and refuge together. In our compassion may we long to free our beings from the toxic tyranny of dread, desire, and delusion, metaphorically known as our three mental poisons. In our pragmatism, may our liberation of all others be fueled by all... Let's try this again. In our pragmatism, may our liberation of all others be fueled by our mastery of the three wish-fulfilling jewels of following the Buddha's example, applying his instructions, and cooperating with his students. So the ideas that we just chanted over these most three recent panels are summarized in the following 8 syllables. May we free all through the 3 jewels. This is not magic. This is not superstition. This is just something really fun to do with our intention and our energy and our poor body that's been sitting cross-legged for the last hour. So the first thing I'm going to do is swing the camera around, brace yourself. And now with a mighty Yiddish grunt, I shall peel my carcass off the floor. Oi! Whoops, here we go. Oh, okay. Okay, let's see. Is this aligned? It is this aligned. Okay. This position, I cannot hide my big old bubble belly. May we free all through the 3 jewels. May we free all through the 3 jewels. May we free all through the 3 jewels. Whew! That'll get your heart going. Woof. Yes, with the grace of a collapsing bridge and the dignity of a train wreck. By the way, this is my partner's. She acquired it before she was vegan. It's excellent for me to set people down upon for energy work. Okay. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. For Meditate Like a Jedi is made possible thanks to the generosity of viewers just like you. In approximately 8 3/4 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's dusk practice of Meditate Like a Jedi. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.